Down quite so quickly. I welcome the opportunity to speak in support of this motion today. Our private rented sector has a very important role in addressing housing need in Northern Ireland, and there are increasing waiting lists in the social housing sector, and with less and less people being able to get onto the property ladder, renting is fast becoming the only option for many in Northern Ireland. As a result of the property boom, followed by the recession, a new kind of landlord has emerged in the past number of years, and those who had bought property as an investment have now found themselves in a situation where they have become landlords in order to get income from the investment, and in a way they've become sort of amateur landlords. Others have also become landlords by default due to inheritance. While we accept that the vast majority of our landlords run a professional operation, too many tenants in the private sector have had to tolerate poor housing conditions and poor practices by their landlords and letting agents, and therefore it's imperative that we ensure that those who rent their homes from a private landlord should be afforded some protection and support. Just a few months ago, we approved the draft Landlord Registration Scheme regulations, which give effect to the Landlord Registration Scheme, including the functions and responsibilities of the scheme registrar and the information that a landlord must provide to the registrar in order to register and continue to be registered. At that time, the Social Development Committee as a whole did raise concerns that the scheme perhaps didn't go far enough in some areas and was maybe a light touch, and therefore perhaps a licensing scheme could provide some further protection than that's afforded currently, and therefore it should be welcomed. There's a number of issues that had been mentioned earlier on, and if the Minister is to take such a scheme forward, I would also urge him to include licensing standards such as requiring that landlords should attempt to manage tenants' antisocial behaviour, and that they also have an adequate tenancy agreement in place. The problems with tenancy agreements has arisen on a number of occasions within my own constituency of East Belfast, and this raises the question as to whether we also actually need better legislation for letting agents, and this is something that I'm currently looking at with Assembly officials. Many landlords use letting agents to organise the leasing of their property, and as part of the fee charged by the letting agency, they're provided with a tenancy agreement. Naturally, you would expect that this tenancy agreement to be up to date with current legislation, including, for instance, who's responsible for paying the rates as per the rates order. But unfortunately, as letting of property falls outside the Estate Agents Act of 1979, I've seen instances where the tenancy agreement provided by well-known estate agents is actually not worth the paper it's written on. So in summing up then, it's important to note that good landlords would actually have nothing to fear from a licensing scheme, as they are likely to already be complying with good practice. I support the motion and agree that we should look into establishing a licensing scheme for private landlords here. I think it would reinforce the sector as a valid choice, along with the tenancy deposit scheme and the landlord registration scheme, and would ensure that tenants and landlords are both aware of their rights and responsibilities. Thank you.